Now we begin with an exclusive over the viral video of a man seen verbally abusing a security guard at his Whampoa condominium. In an internal memo seen by the Straits Times today, JP Morgan, the employer of the Condo resident, has reminded its Singapore-based staff to uphold a culture of respect in their daily conduct. Mr. Edmund Lee, the senior country officer for JP Morgan's Singapore offices, said, "Our people, services and commitment to integrity have made JP Morgan one of the most respected financial institutions in the world. We all have a shared responsibility for preserving and building on its strong reputation." Now, it's not easy being a security officer. They have to put up with drunk and violent civilians and unhappy condominium residents who take out their frustrations on them. In a recent viral video, a security guard was yelled at when a resident had to pay a $10 parking fee for visiting guests. Forum letters to the Straits Times expressed the need for better support for security guards. So it seems that security officers themselves need more security. To talk about this, Mr. Steve Tan, the Executive Secretary of the Union of Security Employees. Hi, Mr. Tan.
Hi, Lisa.
So firstly, what do you think about JP Morgan's internal memo that they shared to the staff about upholding a culture of respect?
Well, I think it's a respectable gesture. It is something that we would expect of a company of the stature of the JP Morgan. There are companies that insist on doing things right, and I've come across companies that engage in monthly surveys of every worker in the company, including outsourced employees like cleaners and security officers. So certainly this is a step in that direction.
Now, if you were that security guard at the Whampoa condominium, is there anything you would have done differently, or you would have done exactly what he did?
Well, I think the security officer did well. He was restrained. He knows that he is carrying out an instruction from the management council, who is the client ultimately. And I think there was a lot of calm, and he basically just continued to let the resident know that this was a council's decision, and he's merely there to execute it. So it's quite unfortunate that things had to take a spin this way, but I think the security officers did well.
Now, it's interesting that JP Morgan, they use the phrase culture of respect. Now, let's talk about the recent spate of abuse, verbal and physical, that security officers have had in Singapore. For some reason, they're really unfortunate. What do you think is the root of the matter? Why are they getting such abuse?
Right. So you use the word unfortunate. And actually, if you look at the security officer's job scope, mentioned in the Private Security Industries Act, includes screening, surveillance, guarding, bodyguarding, as well as traffic marshalling, traffic control. So any of these functions mentioned in the Act actually requires them to stop people if they are not following the rules, or turn people away if they are not expected to be on the site. What this really means is that you are putting security officers right at the front line, making people angry. So I think it is not a recent phenomenon that security officers, and not just in Singapore, are not respected. So to really solve this, of course, in the short term, we will continue what we have been doing all this while. We have partnered the security associations, handing out decals and information to all site officers in Singapore to inform them that the officers are performing duties as prescribed by the PSIA and Private Security Industries Act, and people should not disrespect them or abuse them. But this, I think, is something we won't stop doing, but it was effective probably in the short term. In the long term, we really need to do something more strategic. Yeah. So in 2014, we raised the wages, or rather we announced the progressive wage model that was to take place from 2016 onwards. So this acts as a wage a basis, right, for security officers in 5 grades to get a certain base salary, and we'll continue to push that up. So with that, we attract different people into the industry. Younger Singaporeans can see it shaping up to be a career of its own. But solving the wage is just one part. There are other things that we need to do. So last year, we launched the Industry Transformation Map for Security. How should we do security if we continue the over-reliance on manpower today? For every solution, we prescribe manpower. that is a very, very low productive, low security outcome kind of approach. So I think the best thing, as we shared in the industry transformation map, was first do a proper threat vulnerability risk assessment, TVRA. With that, you know what the site is for, what kind of risks it expects, and you put in the right technology to harden the site. With that, then you decide what kind of security officers you need. And when you deploy security officers in that way, first, you maximize the security outcome, and two, you raise the productivity of the workforce.
Okay, so you just shared short-term and long-term measures. So before the long-term measures kick in, what do you think about the use of weapons by security officers, like tasers or pepper sprays?
So I think in Singapore's environment, we have the union has a very, very close working relationship with the police regulatory department, and we have frequent consultation sessions. I think the overall security template in Singapore does not require security officers to carry pepper sprays and tasers. I think that really calls for a different kind of regime, regulating licensing, as well as how do you prevent people from misusing those weapons. I think more important is that the altercations that our officers face usually are verbal abuse and on occasion physical abuse. So how do we actually move away from behaving like that, right? All of us, when we see a security officer merely doing his job. I think that actually is the bigger challenge. It's not easy, right? We can regulate everything from wages, industry transformation, but we cannot regulate mindset change. So long as someone comes along and thinks that I am superior, you are inferior to me for whatever it means, I behave like that, I think that is a reflection of the person's culture, his upbringing, and we should try our best to respect every worker.
Well said, and thank you, Mr. Tan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.